Welcome everybody to the final week of Post-Apocalypse Month on Reserve Seating. We're talking about the movie Never Let Me Go, and
Which,
I'll
for the
introduce.
end of the month, we're kind of like,
I had a joke. Never interrupt me.
no, I shouldn't interrupt. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get better.
It's fine. All right, should I do the joke? Because the joke was basically going to be about like never letting go of
Yeah.
Post-Apocalypse Month.
Yeah. We were racing each other to that joke. That's fine. Yeah.
Was
Go ahead.
that what you were going to do?
Yeah.
All right, then let's do it. I'll
Well,
let you
no,
do it.
no, it's too
It's
late
your
now.
month. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating. This is the final entry in Post Apocalypse Month, a month we never want to let go. So, Rob, introduce what movie we're talking about
I
this
just want to
week.
say it was a really good joke, and I'm really glad we did it. So, Never Let Me Go, a
Hmm.
movie and book I had no knowledge of at all. Just for some reason, for whatever reason, this just passed me by. Literally just put this on my watch list because, like Delicatessen, it was a movie that fell under the post-apocalypse Wikipedia page, and I had never seen it. And I said, "Oh, I like Carey Mulligan. I like this cast. Let's go for it." And it is a weepy novel adaptation much in the same way I expected it to be. It's basically along the lines of what I thought it was going to be.
Mm.
Adam, we haven't really talked about our thoughts on the movie yet. I am fairly straight down the middle on this. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Okay, so spoilers for everybody watching because it's hard to walk
Yeah.
around what the movie really is. But for about 45 minutes, 30 minutes at least, the movie skirts that this is not just a normal boarding school. This is basically a school for clones.
Right.
And it's very much like the island
It's
where like they're there for spare parts
exactly
for
body harvesting.
yeah, for body harvesting. I saw this in 2011, maybe. I think this was one of those like Netflix movies I got by mail
Got it.
at the time when I was doing that. I don't remember much from watching it. I think, like you, I was probably fairly down the middle. I don't remember disliking it, but it certainly wasn't something that really stuck with me all that much. I think my issue with the movie is that I'm frustrated by how fine it is. Like everything about it is done how it should be done, but there's just no pulse to it. There's just, and some of it is just the tone they're going for is just very sad and slow. Maybe it works better as a book where like you're kind of identifying with a first person narrator. But in the movie, and I don't dislike Carey Mulligan, but she's not an actor that immediately like garners my
She
sympathy
doesn't sell
so
you a
much that
ticket.
she can carry me through a
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. She's not going to sell you a ticket.
It was kind of fun to like see Muppet Babies, Keira Knightley, Carey
Yeah.
Mulligan, and
Everybody's a baby.
Andrew Garfield, Ella Purnell, who used
Yeah.
to be who was in Army of the Dead and a few
Mhm.
other things. She plays like the younger version of Keira Knightley. It's like baby Andrea Riseborough,
Sally
baby
Hawkins in there
Sally
too.
Hawkins,
Yeah.
Domino Gleason.
It's so funny because this is one of those really like, austere sort of like, oh, this is the kind of thing you'd see like an English character piece, like a Jane Austen novel, like it's an
Yeah,
adaptation that's presented in this very sort of dignified way with these proper actors and all that. And there's nothing intrinsically wrong with the movie. There's nothing it's one of those movies where I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, I would, as you said, probably read this book. I bet this book is really interesting from a first person perspective, but I do think it suffers in the adaptation, which is really interesting considering this movie was written by Alex Garland, a writer I really enjoy.
mm,
I mostly like his work a lot. Patrick and I did a show on Ex Machina. He was one of the early guys that, not early, but early in my sort of college years, he was sort of new on the scene at the time, and it was kind of cool to see his writing evolve. And this is very out of, not I would say very out of left field because I guess technically it's a dystopian piece, but it's not really,
it's like heady sci-fi, so it's
Yeah,
kind of in his lane in that regard.
it's more sci-fi by happenstance. It's not really sci-fi. We're not there aren't people growing in pods and stuff like that. But I actually, kind of like that because it is much more about what it means. I mean, we're going back to this idea of what it means to be human, right? What does it mean to be human? This is, you know, the Blade Runner thing, kind of injected into sort of a weepy character piece. And like you said, Carey Mulligan is doing her job. Andrew Garfield, I like young, wiry Andrew Garfield. I just showed a class, The Social Network, um,
Mhm.
and I was talking about how I always thought that he got robbed for all kinds of awards in that movie, because I think he's great in that movie, and it's cool to see him play this sort of um, exposed nerve character, but I kind of wanted more of that, like the way the character is as the child is sort of, you know,
Yeah.
he's getting picked on stuff, and then when he's Andrew Garfield, he's sort of just he's more well adjusted, and I almost didn't want to
Mhm.
see that. Like I wanted to see him more do something more interesting. Keira Knightley is in this movie.
I like Keira Knightley, but this movie doesn't take
It
advantage of
doesn't do anything
anything
with
that's
her. Yeah,
special about her.
she's got nothing
Um,
really to do. She's got like that one fairly interesting scene where she confronts Carey Mulligan about the Andrew Garfield relationship, but it's you know, she can do that in her sleep. There's nothing really interesting.
I'm glad you brought that scene up because it's sort of emblematic of how I felt about a lot of the movie, which is that this movie's it's not set piece driven, but it's very like scene driven. It's like, okay, here's the scene on the
People
beach,
are
here's
always
the scene
walking
in the
into
restaurant.
rooms.
Yeah. So the entire time the scene starts and I'm 3 minutes ahead of the movie.
Yeah,
I know exactly how this scene's gonna go.
yeah,
Sometimes I'm like two scenes ahead of them. And it's because other than them figuring out what's going on and then kind of just having their emotional kind of journey through it.
mhm.
There's no new, like, it kind of just stops cold like halfway through, where it's basically that's just them dealing with the facts that are all presented to us at once.
Yeah.
So it's just like a waiting game a bit. And also, I find I don't know how to really couch this argument, but it's like a gut feeling that if you were raised to understand your life as this one single purpose, but you've never experienced this other purpose, how much are you gonna mourn not having what you never knew?
Especially considering how sheltered they are, how sheltered the kids are. There are little hints of, you know, oh well, they listen to some music, and occasionally some things are brought in that maybe I guess show them a little bit more about culture. But yeah, there's not really any indication that the kids would be mourning something. And the way that Keira Knightley's character gets so upset about thinking that she saw her double, but
Mm,
then not seeing her double or her, you know,
yeah,
I didn't really understand her indignation. Like I don't understand why was she so upset. Did I just
yeah,
miss
I
it?
didn't really get it either, unless she like wanted to confront that person, but I never really
Right.
got like any
There's
type of certainty that that was the purpose.
the movie is like fine in the love triangle thing, and it's like fine in the existential what does it all mean, you know, like by the time we get to not to spoil anything, but by the time we get to the end of the movie and it's like, oh, clones, they're just like us, they you know, they wonder about life's purpose too. It's like, right, yeah, we get it, yeah, thanks, I understand.
Yeah,
It's kind of medium. It's on medium heat in both, and it doesn't really ever pick up on either end. It's kind of just like there are some loose connections here I didn't pick up on. There's some loose connections there I didn't pick up on. I didn't dislike it.
yeah. It's interesting because like the director is the opposite of prolific in terms of
Right.
movies. Like it's Mark Romanek. He kind of came to prominence as a music video director, and if you look at his videography, it's just like really impressive. Just like he directed the "Shake It Off" video by Taylor Swift. That was amongst one of his credits. His debut feature, I think it's his debut. It's not. It's his second. It's 1 Hour Photo, which I think is similar in the sense of like it's very apparent what the movie is early, but maybe it's just the Robin Williams performance is that much more captivating than say the
Right.
Kerry Mulligan, Keira Knightley performance. But that movie like really carries you through, even though you know what the jig is like 30 minutes in. I thought the development towards the end where they talk to Charlotte, right? No, what's her name?
No.
Rampling, Charlotte Rampling. Yeah, so they're talking to Charlotte Rampling, and we understand that the school was uh, for a humanitarian purpose and not
Right.
for like just kind of a like the island, just sort of like a warehouse for clones. But you hear it and then it's just like, oh, that's interesting. And then it like there's nowhere to go from
It
there
doesn't mean
either.
anything to the characters. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything to them. I mean, and that's why I think the third act falls so flat because the idea of, oh, they're gonna buy us if like, and again, not to spoil the end of the movie, but like, oh, if we can prove that we're in love, it'll buy us a couple more years.
Mhm.
And they go through this whole rigmarole of like, we're gonna, oh, the art will prove, and I mean, the movie sets you up for the idea that like, oh, this is all gonna be in vain, obviously, but like the characters should be smarter than that. I don't know. It doesn't ever feel like this is what we're driving at. Like we're going all this way for not very much.
Yeah, this feels like a movie that would be assigned in school.
Yeah.
Like you would watch it in
After you read the
like
book.
ninth grade
Yeah.
and you'd think it's like really profound because you've never seen this story before. But like if you've seen it done in the sci-fi genre via action or via horror or something like that, it's just more primal and immediate and involving and interesting. This feels just very book reporty as
Yeah.
a movie. My biggest takeaway from the movie this time is I think I'm maybe looking forward to Keira Knightley performances as she gets on in age because
Yeah.
there's a scene where she's walking in a hospital on a walker and I'm just like I don't think I've ever been more attracted to you and it was weird.
But yeah, again, not like you watch Andrew Garfield in this too, and you can tell like he's pumped to do some acting. He comes in and he's like,
Oh yeah, he's ready to go.
I'm gonna
He
act in this movie.
Yeah, early Garfield like Lions for Lambs, he's just like all
He's
leather jacket and
he's,
strutting like he's ready he's ready to go.
he's coming in like, he wants to be like Ed Norton. Like he's like, let's fucking act, guys. Let's do some acting.
He's
And
like,
like
I'm off page, motherfuckers. Let's do
exactly.
this.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine. Again, I like watching Andrew Garfield in things. I think he's a compelling actor. I like this moment when he goes out. He gets out of the car and screams. I've
Yeah.
been there,
I think he
Andrew. Like,
overdoes that a little bit.
what's
That's
that?
just me. That moment I think is a little overdone,
Yeah,
but
but it's a when you look at how the movie
sure.
is this sort of over the top. Well, it's trying to be this sort of over the top thing, which
It's trying to be under the top.
so yeah, I think that I like the way I like under the top. I think we should add that to the glossary. That's pretty good. That was pretty
Yeah.
good. I want to make sure we come back to that because that was
All
really
right,
good.
sounds good. Yeah.
That's exactly what this movie is. It's under the top. It should be up here, but it's not quite enough. Not quite enough meat on the sandwich.
Everybody leave a comment if you can think of any other Keira Knightley Walker performances.
Yeah, yeah. We're making a list. Not for weird reasons, just for like regular reasons.
There's not a lot to talk about in this movie.
No, there's
Like I
not.
was about to, I didn't send this text, but I was about to send you a text and say this review might be 7 minutes long because there's nothing to say. It's the type of movie that if you were a critic, you would give a gentleman six because you'd think like that's what everybody else is giving it.
You would highlight the performances, I guess. You would say that it's very finely made.
But
Um,
you would never tell your friend on a Saturday night to go see this
no,
movie.
this is not one I would text anybody and say, "Oh man, I just got out of Never Let Me Go," and boy, that movie was under the top.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have like the energy to type like I just saw. Speaking of numbers, I
Yes.
saw that the Animatrix review was
Ooh.
20 minutes and 17 seconds. And the
Yes.
Last Man on Earth review was 20 minutes and 17 seconds.
So we have to keep going.
I thought that was incredible. I don't want you to have to do like editing hoops to like get up to 2017, but I
Um,
don't know. The number 23 in me is pretty excited. I'm like, surely I was looking at one and then I moved my eyes too quickly and I saw that, but no, it's not.
um, Pirates are playing really well. Really impressed with the Pirates right now.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
cool. Always rooting for them. I have a student who's a Pirates fan, and you know, he's having a good time.
that's good.
What else we
I'm
got?
all ready for independent baseball, as you can see from my hat, Chicago Dogs.
Chicago Dogs.
Because the Chicago White Sox were like, you know what? You know, it'd be pretty awesome. You know, I get the fans back. Let's go 7-15 to start the year.
The Phillies are off today. We're one game under 500.
Mhm.
Bryce is coming back in May. He's going to play first base apparently. Um,
We just had Lucas Giolito go 7, and that was the longest start of the year so
well,
far.
Well, Chris Wheeler. Chris Wheeler is a old
Zach
friend.
Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler. Chris Wheeler was the color commentator for the Phillies for years.
I've been watching YouTubers, and I found my way to like regularly watching this like Tampa Bay Rays fans
Yeah, you told
YouTube.
me about that. That's cool.
And there's a mascot named DJ Kitty, and every time like DJ Kitty shows up in a video, I'm like, oh, it's DJ Kitty.
Speaking of which, RIP the A's
Yeah, well, I mean,
in Oakland.
it was long overdue. When you hear like we can't use the visitors broadcast booth because there's a possum in the walls,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we keep the money on the field. All right, buddy.
All right. Well, we still
Oh,
we still
yeah,
have
we
the
have to do the
episode.
wrap up. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed Post-Apocalypse Month. This was fun. We will be back next week with the mailbag episode. So until next time.
These seats are here. They have always been here. They will always be here, and we will never let them go.
These are your seats more than ours at this point. We're reserving them for you.
When will you join us? Is the question.
Yeah.
We can't wait forever.
Dinner is served. Let's go.